Hello witches, and welcome to Activist Witch, where we discuss witchcraft and activism. My name is Raven, my pronouns are she, they, and in this video we're just going to do a really quick follow-up to the kink and sex magic video from a few weeks ago, mainly just to talk about some of my findings and things that I found very helpful in doing that kind of practice that I think are very applicable and can be much more useful than we think in other areas of practice.
But before we get started, let me remind you that I've opened a Ko-fi, which is an alternative to Patreon that takes less from creators. And on there you can do a monthly donation, a one-off donation, or even buy a tarot reading with me, Italian style. The low-income option starts at £5. And for the foreseeable future, any income that I get from tarot readings goes directly to support Cuccis to Gaza, who are part of the mutual aid groups that helps and support Palestinian people relocate to Egypt. So if you decide to support me there, thank you so very much.
This video is going to be very short and sweet, mainly because me and Isha just got back from London and we have London disease. So neither of us are feeling too well at the moment. So I just thought I'd throw something together for you guys. And the main reason why I thought this video might be useful is we were doing some of the exercises in Sacred Sex by Gabriela Herstick. And we actually found the process going through it quite difficult. They brought up things for us that we weren't really aware were there. And while it didn't necessarily lead to an effectiveness in the spell, I think the fact that it highlighted those issues for us is what makes it incredibly powerful and incredibly useful to us, because that's information we didn't necessarily have before. And the spell that we were doing was just a talisman amulet ritual for letting go of sexual shame and becoming more open to our own sort of sexual energies. And I think both of us, honestly, quite struggled. There were some, it did highlight some issues of shame and, in areas that we weren't necessarily expecting to find them. And just in the entire process of it, so after raising the energy for the working and kind of sitting there and being mindful of how we felt in that moment, to the things that we were aiming for and the things that we were letting go, how we really felt about those, that revealed to us the things that we actually do need to be personally working on kind of much more practically than in a magical sense. And I think that's something that's missing from at least a lot of the spells that you can read in books on witchcraft that detail things. So whether that's in grimoires or ceremonial magic, or, obviously lots of things that you find online as far as spells and workings that are there. The idea of sitting there in the working and being curious about your feelings around the outcome. Yeah, let's go into an example. And I kind of loathe the amount of times that people talk about witchcraft and they make it applicable to kind of capitalism things. So whether it's like a job or like buying a new home. So let's use an example that's a bit more social and community driven. So let's say you move to a new city and you don't know anyone in the area and you want to do a spell to let go of your social anxiety of when it comes to meeting people and to bring in, just, to attract like for like, to attract people that are like you, that you can have nice conversations with and nice connections with, and to sort of step away from the loneliness that you're feeling in that. And I'm sure that there are plenty of rituals that you can find out there that will help you do that. But I think unless you spend the time during that working to truly put yourself in the situation. Now, I know that lots of things talk about manifesting to visualize in your mind the outcome that you are trying to get. But I don't think enough focus is put on sitting in that image, truly placing yourself there and thinking about how it feels. So in our example of we're trying to be more social and we're trying to get more friends, I think it's important to look at the bad sides as well as the good, to look at the things that you're afraid of, the blockages that you might have, as well as the things that you're trying to get from it. So let's say, you're at a party and suddenly everyone wants to talk to you. They're all coming up to you, they're all introducing themselves to you. How does that feel? Is that quite exposing? Does it make you feel a bit too seen? Is that more than you're really ready for? How about the amount of social energy you are? Can you see yourself being able to keep up with so many people? Suddenly you're so popular, everyone wants a piece of you. Is that something that would actually be manageable and feasible to you? And you need to highlight these things, because if you are aiming towards this and you aren't aware, this is very much the shadow stuff that we're talking about, then those shadow elements are going to work their way into the working and start going, well, actually, no, you don't want that outcome. You don't want to be in this party, because remember, when we've been at parties before, it was very difficult for us. The shadow will rule your life and you'll call it fate. But at the same time as that, then, it's important to not solely ruminate, to not focus only on the negative of things, because then we are scaring ourselves away. What's important at the same time as that is to be mindful of the things that you enjoy. Whenever we do a BDSM scene and it comes to the kind of the debrief afterwards, we talk about, yes, the things that we found difficult, the things that were challenging for us, but also the things that we really enjoyed and the things that we want to focus on more in the future. And where this can come in really handy is if you place yourself there and you think about the things that you really like, it's then important for us to find all the ways that we already have that. The things that we're already doing that can give us that feeling. Maybe we have lots of friends online, we just don't see them that often. Because something that our brain is very good at when it comes to manifesting things is getting more of the things that we like in our surroundings. So if we can highlight, okay, this is where I've already got it, then we can focus more on how to get more, rather than jumping from this state of, say, not having anything that we can think of that's very positive to something that might be too overwhelming for us to handle. And I'm sure you can see how this would be applicable in things like job interviews. Like maybe you get your dream job, maybe that spell actually does manifest for you, but when you're there, suddenly you're filled with imposter syndrome. Suddenly you feel like you don't deserve it. You might even question your viability of being there, because you got there by doing a spell and feel like it wasn't necessarily on your own merits. So yeah, in that instance, you need to truly place yourself like, okay, I'm in this job, I have all this responsibility. Someone has looked at me and said, yes, you are the one for the job. Are there any insecurities that we might have around that? I mean, I know I certainly would. I suffer from imposter syndrome all the time. Having just gotten back from London because of something that's very, very big and impactful in my career, and was as the result of a magical working that Alicia did. There were moments over the days that we were there where I was like, I just don't belong here. I'm not a real artist. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve what's happening to me right now. But at the same time, then, once that's happened, I could focus on all the positive things, all the things that I'm really enjoying about this experience, and go, okay, yes, I do want more of this. I do want to work towards this. And so now it's up to me to put that work in to go forward. And so yeah, maybe all of this is very obvious to you. Maybe this is something that you already do. But if you're a beginner witch and you're just starting out, you're going through these spells and you're just kind of going through the motions and not really feeling anything, and you don't really know sort of what you're supposed to be doing in that. Or maybe you've been doing lots of spells for something, normally your other spells work, but in this instance it keeps not working. Then perhaps this is something you can try to introduce into your practice during the step. If you work with candle magic, taking that time when the candle is burning down, just to really stop and in your mind, just place yourself inside the outcome and be really aware of how that feels. Don't be afraid of the shame. Don't be afraid of any insecurities. Don't be afraid of any negative feelings that come up. Treat them with curiosity. Be mindful of them. Note them down. And at the same time, make sure you balance that with all the positive aspects of that, so you can work on this and you can focus on nurturing and feeding and cultivating the positive. So yeah, as I said, really short and sweet video for you. Hopefully it was useful. If you have any questions, please do feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And until the next time, I hope we can hack the patriarchy together, because there's need for it.